Hello, I'm Benjamin Limmer, Bureau Chief for Public Transportation at the Connecticut Department of Transportation. And I'd like to welcome you to Along the Lines, a podcast series where we'll share exciting news and updates and explore current issues and ideas on Connecticut's public transportation system. Hello and welcome to another episode of Along the Lines. I'm your host, Ben Limmer. The Connecticut Department of Transportation recently announced a significant milestone where 9 transit districts and municipalities throughout the state have been awarded funding to start a new pilot on-demand microtransit services within each of their respective areas. Given its emergence as a relatively new concept within the public transportation industry, we're going to focus today on demystifying microtransit in today's conversation. We'll explore how microtransit might differ from your traditional fixed route bus service, as well as delve into the details of this exciting pilot project poised to revolutionize our state's public transportation landscape. I am thrilled to be joined today by 2 very distinguished guests. Mark Goodale, Transportation Supervising Planner at the Connecticut DOT, as well as Matt Pentz, Chief Executive Officer of the Norwalk Transit District in Norwalk, Connecticut. Together, we're going to talk about the intricacies of this groundbreaking development. It's really its potential to reshape the future of public transportation, but also how this new service is going to help us address existing gaps within our current public transportation system. So, gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start with Mark. Some of our listeners may not be familiar with what on-demand microtransit is. So could you give us a brief description of what it is and how it differs from a regular bus service?
Thank you. Microtransit is typically an on-demand ride-sharing service available to the general public. That similar to Uber or Lyft. Customers can request a ride when it's needed. They can do the trip request. There's payment functions on there, and it's delivered on demand. How it differs from your regular fixed route as is, it's on a set schedule, on a set route to drive circles each day, where on-demand microtransit is, as the trip is booked, it's routed and it's immediately provided.
Awesome. Well, this certainly is a new way of delivering bus service. Sounds exciting. So, Matt, recently on this podcast, we've been highlighting projects or services that improve the quality of life for Connecticut's residents. Can you tell us a little bit about how microtransit can improve the quality of life within your own service area, which I got to say has a lot going on right now with economic activities? So tell us how microtransit can support that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. First off, thank you, Bureau Chief, for having me on. And thank you to the department and the governor for this exciting program. In Norwalk, we're a little familiar with microtransit, but we're very excited about this opportunity through the pilot. So I think when we talk about quality of life, we have to recognize that mobility enhances and enables freedom, right? So transportation is an engine of opportunity, connects people to jobs, healthcare, medical appointments, education, social gatherings. And so transportation really has a cascading economic impact on all of us, right? And microtransit offers an affordable, safe, convenient, and comfortable means of mobility. Microtransit provides an alternative that can make, and especially Norwalk residents, less reliable on cars, which alleviates congestion. So smart users, I think, will figure out ways to save money as well, which means they'll have more money for discretionary spending, such as going out to dinner and shopping. So if you're in a service area, again, you could take microtransit service that'll alleviate the need to take a car. It alleviates the parking constraints, alleviates the hassles along with those. And for people who, decide to have an alcoholic drink or two, you don't have to get behind the wheel. You can call or use the app for a ride, and a trained rider will come pick you up. So I think another piece of this is the reliability component, which is really good. Again, you don't have to rely so much on a car. If you have children or you're a senior, you don't have to worry so much about how you're going to, schedule a trip from A to B. There's a service that's out there. There's a time frame that it's available, and it's there, and it's a reliable means of transportation. So in my opinion, it alleviates a lot of stress. So all these things combined, I think, can help improve quality of life. And I can tell you, in Norwalk, there's a lot of excitement about it.
That's awesome. We too are very excited. These microtransit services that have been launched in other communities throughout the country in very recent times have really emerged as an important component in solving what we call the first or last mile connection. Can you tell our listeners what first mile, last mile refers to, and just how vital it is to close that gap?
Sure, I sure can. That's quite a conversation piece these days. So look at it this way, right? You can't take a train if you can't get to the station. First and last mile really addresses public transportation gaps. It helps reach unserved or underserved neighborhoods. I would say, it addresses bringing people into the transit system. So it bridges destinations, from your origin to and from either a bus or a rail station. So we know there's parking constraints. We know not everybody has a car. Not everybody can afford a car. Not everybody lives near a train station. So first and last mile can help reach those more remote areas and bring you in. I think the goal here is we want to boost ridership, and you want to enhance all modes of public transit. So when you can bring more people into the system, you can help the overall system grow and connect people in rural areas to a robust transportation network. So really is just kind of getting from your origin into the system or your destination, really, if it's a medical appointment, and back home. And you can't always have a large bus do that in the more remote areas. So I think what's exciting about this is you have smaller, more fuel efficient vehicles going into more residential and rural areas and giving them a public transit option. And I think the win really is it expands the overall public transit network.
Oh, that's great. Mark, you touched on this earlier when you talked about scheduling a ride through an app similar to Uber and Lyft. And I'm not a technical, savvy guy, but that is a very easy way to schedule a trip. Can you talk about if I were located in an area serviced by microtransits, how specifically do I schedule a ride?
Yes, Ben, thank you. Many of the riders that would like to book a ride, they can download a specific app that would be designated for the service area that they're in. And these apps should be starting to be developed now and should be readily available before service starts. But they'll be able to book and pay a ride right through the Fare app. So what one want to do is, just plug in the trip particulars into the app, the location, who's going to be traveling with you. Or do you have any ADA needs, such as a lift van equipped? So you'll put your trip particulars in. The software that powers the service will use its algorithm to dynamically route your trip based on its vehicle location and if there are any other pickup or drop-offs needing to be made in the vicinity of the requester.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And, Mark, this is a 2-year pilot program. It's a nearly $20 million investment that the state is making, which is really can lead to a brand new mobility option. And it's certainly a huge investment. Can you quickly highlight the transit service providers and municipalities who are going to participate in this 2-year pilot program?
Sure. What I'll do is I'll give out the awardees of this program, as well as give it a little bit of information as to the areas in which they'll be serving. We have River Valley Transit, and through 3 pilots, they're serving the Madison, Guilford, and portions of both East Hampton and Middletown. The Greater Bridgeport Transit, they're going to be serving primarily the city of Trumbull. Greater Hartford Transit District, they'll be providing service in the Enfield, East Windsor area. Milford Transit, as is, they're going to be providing microtransit services for the town of Milford, and it's going to be especially important because it's going to be operating during the time that their fixed route is not. New Haven, and this is the city of New Haven. They will be, which is one of our municipalities. They'll be serving Hill, West River, Dwight Edge, Beaver Hills, West Rock neighborhoods, but they'll be connecting these neighborhoods to existing fixed route services. Norwalk, we'll be serving Norwalk. Southeastern Area Transit, so you're serving portions of Stonington, Mystic, Noank, and Waterford. Stamford, the city of Stamford, they're going to be providing a 5-mile boundary within their city. In Valley Transit District, they're going to be serving, the Ansonia area as well as Derby and Shelton, including the train station. So that'll also help with that first last mile component Matt was referring to.
Oh, that's fantastic. Quick follow-up, Mark. When are these services projected to begin?
Pretty good. Yes. We have actually a few providers starting as early as March. Matt Pentz, I believe they're going to be starting on March 26th. I believe that's when their services due, but we got it starting at March, continuing through to June 1st. But the majority of the services we'll start to see on April 1st. And we don't think it's an April Fool's prank. So we really believe April 1st is the date that we'll start seeing that service hitting the streets.
So quick follow-up question, Mark. When can we really see the full launch of this pilot program?
Yes, the full launch, we can see this by early summer. June 1st has got most of the services will be all up and running by then.
Oh, that's great. So Matt, back to you. You mentioned this already. You have experience running a microtransit operation. And I think it's called Wheels to You Norwalk and Wheels to You Westport, the Wheels to You program. Can you tell us what public response has been for these services and what you expect when you roll out additional new service?
Sure. Yeah. You're right. It is Wheels to You Norwalk and Wheels to You Westport. That's our branding. We had started it, just to clarify, there are two kind of different systems in that when we launched Norwalk, it was back in 2018, and it was really centered around nightlife and entertainment. So they had built the Selno Collection Mall, and they were really interested, and they helped us get the service off the ground. And when it first launched back then, with a lot of promotional energy, it grew every week, and eventually was really robust ridership. COVID hit, and it really had a damper on that service. But when you look at the growth back then, it was really positive, and we were getting positive feedback, and people liked it, and they were using it to go to the mall, to go to restaurants, nightlife, entertainment, and so forth. The pandemic hit, we kind of suspended that service, but Westport took a look at this, and I think they did a really brilliant thing. Commuting just completely halted. We all know that, right? And so they decided to kind of, as it slowly came back, it was almost perfect, right? They decided to just, instead of bring back the traditional commuter shuttles, they decided to implement microtransit. And so that more flexible on-demand service worked for them. And we're seeing it work week in and week out as their ridership is growing. So to answer your question, the public seems to like it. The only problems we have is when there's an issue with the service or wait times are too long. People complain, right? Because it's not fluent and it's not a perfect service. We're still working through some growing pains, but for the most part, it's good. We get a lot of good feedback from Westport residents. They love it. A lot of the emails that I get, people will just, tell me something about it. And the first thing they say is, we really love the service. We hope it can continue. We hope it can grow. You get a lot of requests for more service, actually, more vehicles, expanded service hours. So it's really working, I think, as a commuter model in Westport. In Norwalk, we're putting a lot more energy around getting the ridership back after the pandemic. We have a group in Norwalk called Sustainable Streets. They're really passionate about this. They've organized pub crawls. That has since kind of grown, and I have people coming to me saying, "Hey, can we do an antique crawl or all kinds of different crawls on microtransit?" So they like it, and we're organized. We're doing a lot of community stuff with it there. But I think with the new service, I'm excited about it. Right, it's going to go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Norwalk, as you mentioned earlier in the podcast. There's a ton happening in Norwalk, and I think it's going to help a lot. I think it's going to help with the first and last mile. I think it's going to help with the workforce. I'm excited because we're going to have ADA accessible vehicles, so it'll help people get to medical appointments and so forth. So there'll be 6 vehicles, and it's going to reach a lot of people. So we're excited about it. And it's going to be just managing it, watching it, and making sure that the service is productive and the wait times aren't too long. So all good stuff from the public. And again, only complaints are when the system's not working. So, but we're on it. We're doing our best to fine tune the growing pains, and it's a great experience. And I'm glad to be part of this pilot.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I know you are on it. Any challenges with the first wave of microtransit service or this new wave that we haven't covered yet? Kind of unforeseen challenges, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly knowledge gap, right? It's new, it's experimental, it's a pilot at this point, so people aren't familiar with it. I think it's great that we're having this discussion because I've talked about it a number of times. I mean, people need to understand a couple things, right? What is microtransit, and also that first and last mile concept. But the other piece is it is different, right? It's not a traditional fixed route service. There's not a traditional map. I think as Mark was alluding to earlier, right? It's on demand. It's app based. So it's really just educating the public to download the app, understand the service area and the hours of operations. And then from there, once you can get people to experiment with it, that learning curve, you really kind of start to get ahead of it. In terms of challenges, I do think the marketing is very important. So you want to get it out there. You want to educate the public. But also, I think on the back end is us really managing the service. And in Norwalk and Westport, we really don't want longer than 10 to 12-minute wait time. So it's really playing with the levers behind the scenes to make sure that the vehicles are positioned in the right place and understanding where the demand is going to come from and being ready to kind of jump on it when we are called for service. So,
All right. So, Mark, this is a pilot program. It's 2 years, but I'm asking you to look in your crystal ball. What does your crystal ball tell you about what comes next?
Well, I'm very optimistic on this program being successful. We have a lot of good districts and a lot of good municipalities, and our internal team is all working towards making this a successful program. But I do hope that it will. In looking forward to it serving its purpose and reducing those gaps in service, providing lifeline and with the hopes of it sparking more interest throughout the state / demand from other municipalities to even grow this microtransit out further and expand our coverage throughout the state.
Oh, it's great. Matt's certainly happy to hear that, is really the state's leader in providing microtransit services. Matt, do you see microtransit being a much larger focus in Connecticut for the foreseeable future?
I sure hope so. I really think it's brilliant what the department's doing here, expanding the public transit footprint. We know that our city's growing, the state's growing. I've talked about cars and congestion. I think it's going to help grow the fixed route. It's going to help people get to the train station. I think once we put it out there, it's going to be hard to take it away, and not because it's hard to take services away, but because people are going to rely on it. And I think we're going to track our ridership, and we're going to share it with you guys. And we have certain goals, and I really do think it's going to help. I think the public's really going to appreciate it. People are excited about it in Norwalk. For example, you can be a 2-car family home, and I've already heard people say, "Hey, I heard this program's coming out," and they may drop a car, right? Save a lot of money, and really just a lot of positives around this. So I may be overly optimistic. I may be a little biased because I really want to see this work, but the numbers won't lie, and I'm very confident that ourselves and a lot of the other programs are going to be successful. So I hope it's part of the long-term equation and a big part of the future in Connecticut.
Well, we hope so too. So, guys, I'd like to thank you, Mark Goodale, Matt Pentz, for all your time today and your invaluable contributions, not only to the conversation today, but to all the work that you do to provide transportation options throughout the state. So here at the DOT, we're excited to be at the forefront of this transformative shift in public transportation. We, of course, are absolutely committed to the Microtransit pilot program and its role in enhancing all of Connecticut's public transportation systems. By offering additional options, Microtransit will expand accessibility and flexibility for a broader spectrum of our state's residents, particularly to communities currently underserved or lacking public transportation access today. So microtransit will be vital in bridging existing gaps within our public transportation network, as you heard specifics as it pertains to Norwalk. So the future of public transportation is absolutely here, and microtransit is leading the way forward. Once again, I'm Ben Limmer. Join us next time for another episode of Along the Lines. Thanks for listening to this episode of Along the Lines. This is your host, Benjamin Limmer. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe and share.